Hello and welcome to Crouton Cracker Jacks. Today I'm going to show you how to make these super easy and super delicious danishes. Now these are traditionally made with a puff pastry, but I'm going to skip that step and use a pre-made dough that you're probably already familiar with. And the toppings for these are made using just a few ingredients that you probably already have in your refrigerator. So these are the ingredients that you'll need. And let's get started. Now I told you I'm going to use a pre-made dough here, and for the dough I'm going to be using crescent rolls. This is basically a puff pastry, almost kind of ish, in a tube. These make the best danishes. I've just got a tube here of the big and flaky. You can use the regular size crescents as well. Your danishes, finished danishes, won't be quite as big, but this is a 12-ounce or so roll of crescent roll dough, and I'm going to go ahead and unroll this. Now I'm just going to work with a few triangles here. Now everybody knows that, with crescent rolls, you take a triangle, you roll it up. Kind of a makeshift croissant, if you will. But I'm not going to be using the triangles. I want this in a rectangular shape because I'm going to be cutting these into strips. I'm just going to go ahead and pinch that seam, and then before I cut this into strips, I'm going to take some regular white granulated sugar and sprinkle that right on top of my dough. Now crescent rolls by their nature are not very sweet, so this is going to sweeten up my dough a little bit, and I'm just going to press that sugar into the dough, and then just using a regular knife, butter knife here, I'm going to cut this into 4 strips. Now if you're using the regular size crescent rolls, you might only be able to get away with 3. But you want your strips about 1 inch wide to about 8 inches long or so. Now to actually form my danishes here, I'm going to lift up one of these strips, and I'm going to take either end and twist them in opposite directions. And this is going to twist that dough kind of into a rope. Now you don't want to twist this too tight. You want it a little bit hollow or so in the inside. And then I'm going to loosely rope this around itself. And then go ahead and take your end and tuck that underneath so that way it doesn't pop out while it's baking. Now if your dough separates there where you pinch the seam together, go ahead and press that back together. Just kind of work with it. Some strips can be a little difficult, but it's not too bad. And then you want to continue with the rest of your strips and crescent rolls. And then you want to place all of your danishes about a few inches apart onto a large cookie sheet. I lined mine with a silicone baking mat so that way the bottoms don't get too brown on me. And then you want to use an index finger here and press down and make a little divot in the center of your danishes. This is going to allow you to put a little bit more filling in each one, but it's also going to prevent the filling from spilling over the side. Now one of my favoriteest danishes is the cheese danish, so I'm going to go ahead and make that filling. I've got 2 ounces or a 1/4 cup of cream cheese here in a small bowl, and I'm going to add in 1 tablespoon of white granulated sugar. Now some recipes will tell you to use powdered sugar. Don't. Powdered sugar will actually make a frosting, and that frosting will melt on you. So just use plain white granulated sugar for that. Now to actually fill your danishes, you want to take about 1 teaspoon or so of your filling. I'm going to start off with the cheese here and place that into the center of each little danish round. You don't want to pack down your filling down into the danish. The danish will actually, or the dough will rise up and around the filling. So just go ahead and put it right on top. And I didn't want all cream cheese or all cheese danish here, so I'm also going to make up some fruit ones. Here I'm using some raspberry jam, and again I'm just going to use about 1 teaspoon of jam in each one of my danishes. You can use any kind of filling that you want for these. You can do raspberry, you can use strawberry. I'm also using apricot here and a few others. Use whatever is your favorite. You could also use pie filling for these if you wanted to. And once you get all your danishes filled, you want to go ahead and put these into a preheated 375-degree oven for about 10 minutes or so. And once they're nice and golden brown, go ahead and remove them from your oven. Then I took about 1 tablespoon or so of butter and put that into a small dish and melted that down. And I'm going to use a pastry brush, and I'm just going to brush the tops of my danishes with the melted butter. This is going to make sure that my danishes are nice and soft. So you just want to brush a little bit of that melted butter on each one. And then you want to let these cool down for a few minutes before you ice them. And for the icing, I've got 1/4 cup of powdered sugar. I'm going to add in about 1.5 teaspoons or so of milk. Using a spoon, I'm just going to mix that together until it forms an icing. You want your icing thin enough that it will drizzle, but you don't want it so thin that it runs all over the place. So adjust the milk and powdered sugar to the correct consistency. And it should kind of look like this when you are done with it. And then you just want to use your spoon here and you want to drizzle that icing right on top of your Danish. Then you can go ahead and serve these up warm. If you're not going to eat them right away, go ahead and store them in an airtight covered container. And these are actually better the second day, if they last the second day. But there you go. That's how easy it is to make homemade, semi-homemade danishes. Now, I know this is not the traditional or authentic way to make danishes, but this is the way that I like them and I prefer them. So definitely give this recipe a try. It's super easy and super quick, and you're sure to love them. And if you do give them a try, go ahead and leave me a comment down below telling me how you like them. And if you like this video, be sure to give a thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate it. Subscribe for more deliciousness and to keep up to date on all my latest videos. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.